So, a Labour SNP coalition, that's already been ruled out by Jeremy Corbyn.
Well, I should say, first of all, this was what the First Minister said in response to a question asked by a journalist yesterday when she was with the SNP MPs in London. Our view is that we are going to fight for every seat we currently hold and the ones we don't yet hold in Scotland. But she was asked what would we do if the position arose, which seems very unlikely looking at all polls, that there could be a progressive alliance. And quite rightly, the First Minister's view is we should be doing anything we possibly can to prevent continuous and ongoing hard right Tory rule across the UK. And if that can be done by a progressive alliance, that should be the case. But it does seem increasingly unlikely.
Well, it's very unlikely if Jeremy Corbyn himself won't enter into that.
Well, that's a matter for Jeremy Corbyn. I would have thought that...
But you'd need both leaders to agree to that,
any official opposition would do whatever they possibly could to get into government and prevent the Tories, and that's what we would be interested in helping doing if that was to be the case, but it does seem very unlikely.
Is one of your worries that electors in Scotland in particular have had so many elections that there could be voter fatigue, that could lead to a poor turnout, and you could lose seats in Scotland? I mean, it's very hard with your very strong position in Scotland to imagine you doing even better. The threat with the popularity, for instance, of the Conservative leader, Ruth Davidson, in Scotland, is that actually you lose out, which would be a very bad thing, wouldn't it?
Well, of course, we have local authority elections on the 4th of May. But apart from that, if you look at voter motivation, I'm currently a constituency MP and very privileged to be so. I've been contacted since my election by many people who are suffering because of Tory policy. So people are motivated to come out and vote against what's affecting their daily lives. And this election has to be about people.
Yeah, if you lost seats, because if I'm right, you currently have 56 out of 59.
We have 54 SNP MPs.
OK, right. So you've got 54. But if you lose seats, that weakens your position, doesn't it? Are you concerned about losing seats?
Our position in terms of...
Well, in terms of your... Exactly right. I mean, that's your raison d'etre, isn't it?
Well, to be clear and to be fair, the question of a second Scottish independence referendum has already been dealt with in the Scottish parliamentary elections. The First Minister has a cast iron mandate. That was a Scottish Parliament issue. It was in the manifesto. She said if Scotland was to be in the position where we find ourselves being taken out of the EU against our will, then she would take it to the Scottish Parliament. She secured that Scottish parliamentary vote.
She has to win that support at the next general election.
Well, no, she's won the support at the Scottish Parliament election. She's presented that position to Theresa May, who cannot continue to rule it out. It's an unsustainable position for a Prime Minister who has any semblance of consideration for the UK Constitution whatsoever.
What do you think would be considered a success for the SNP at this general election?
Well, winning the general election in Scotland, that is absolutely our aim and ambition. And of course...
So maintaining the number of seats you have?
Winning the election in Scotland has to be our priority for us. Obviously maintaining the seats that we've got, and we'll be fighting for those that we didn't manage to get last time.
We've seen yesterday afternoon, or it seems that yesterday evening, the Conservatives have done a bit of an about-turn with regards to TV debates and whether Theresa May was actually going to join in with a TV debate. We understand that it might not be the head-to-head that I'm sure your party would certainly and your leader would certainly enjoy. But how do you feel about the idea of TV debates and why they're so important? And should Theresa May actually put herself in that position?
Well, first of all, can I give credit to ITV? Because during the debate yesterday, it became apparent as we were all looking at our phones that there was going to be an ITV debate. And if it becomes the case that Theresa May needs to be empty-chaired, that's likely to happen. How is it possible for the Prime Minister, who's called a general election herself, not then to put herself in front of the public and be questioned? That is what politics are like in today's day and age. You cannot hide behind. You have to front it up and answer the questions.
Although, as Ben
and it's
says,
because she doesn't want to answer those questions.
But that's exactly what it seems they have agreed to yesterday, or the details haven't yet been worked out. It's the head-to-head debates which look unlikely, but actually putting herself up on television and answering questions from the public looks like it is a possibility.
If you want to lead a country or continue to lead a country, you have to debate the other potential leaders of that country.
Do you think
that's what comes with the office of being Prime Minister?
As you say, all credit to ITV, and we're here, you know, as ITV broadcasters. But there are a lot of people who might think, you know what, it's a huge distraction for the Prime Minister to be focusing on performing well on a debate when actually she's got a bigger job to do, and going around knocking on doors and talking to people directly and doing the actual job of government is the priority.
How the Prime Minister uses her time and whether she needs to use so much of that time up in focusing on giving a good performance is a matter for her. One would have thought if she faces questions in the chamber every single day from some leaders, not all, because they're not all at Westminster, of course, she should come on the television and face those leaders who don't have the opportunity.